The shuttle touched down on the crystal landing pad with a soft hum. Ben Morris stepped out and looked up at the towering spires of the Zephyrian capital city. Everything sparkled like diamonds in the pale blue sunlight of this distant world. He had traveled across half the galaxy to reach this moment. Ben was not a soldier or a scientist. He was just a regular man from Earth who happened to be good at talking to people. The Earth Council had chosen him as their ambassador because he was honest and kind. They needed someone the aliens could trust. The Zephyrians had been watching Earth for 20 years. They were an ancient race with technology that could destroy entire star systems, but they had never made contact until now. Something had changed. Earth's scientists were not sure what. A group of tall, elegant beings approached the shuttle. They moved like dancers, flowing across the crystal ground without making a sound. Their skin was pale blue and seemed to glow from within. But what caught Ben's attention were their eyes. Each Zephyrian had large eyes that took up nearly a quarter of their face. The eyes were multifaceted like gems and changed colors constantly. Right now, they were all showing the same neutral silver-blue shade. "Welcome, Ambassador Morris," said the leader in perfect English. "I am Minister Vex. We will escort you to the palace." Ben nodded and followed them through the city. Everywhere he looked, he saw wonders. Buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like crystal trees. Vehicles that floated silently through the air. Gardens with plants that hummed soft melodies in the wind. The people they passed all stopped to stare at Ben. He was the first human most of them had ever seen. Their eyes flickered briefly to different colors before returning to silver blue. Ben wondered what those color changes meant. The palace was the most beautiful building Ben had ever seen. It rose from the center of the city like a mountain of living light. Towers twisted toward the sky, connected by bridges that looked too delicate to hold any weight. Yet everything seemed solid and eternal. Inside, the halls were lined with murals that moved and changed as Ben watched. The art told stories of Zephyrian history going back thousands of years. Wars, discoveries, great leaders, and tragic losses all played out on the walls in shifting patterns of light. Minister Vex led Ben to a waiting room near the throne chamber. "The negotiations will begin in 1 hour," he said. "Princess Kira will arrive shortly to greet you personally. This is a great honor. She does not meet with many outsiders." Ben spent the waiting time reviewing his notes. The peace treaty was complex, but the main points were simple. Earth wanted protection from hostile alien races. The Zephyrians wanted access to human cultural broadcasts and entertainment. It seemed like a fair trade. A soft chime filled the air. Minister Vex returned and bowed deeply. "The princess approaches." The throne room was massive. The ceiling soared hundreds of feet above, supported by pillars of pure crystal. Light filtered down from somewhere high above, casting rainbow patterns across the floor. At the far end stood an elegant throne that seemed to be carved from a single enormous gemstone. But Ben barely noticed any of this. His attention was completely focused on the figure walking toward him. Princess Kira was tall even for a Zephyrian. She moved with perfect grace, her long robes flowing around her like water. Her skin had the same pale blue glow as the others, but somehow she seemed to shine brighter. Her hair was white as starlight and fell in waves to her shoulders, and her eyes. Ben had thought the other Zephyrians had beautiful eyes, but Princess Kira's were extraordinary. They were larger than the others and seemed to contain entire galaxies within their depths. Colors swirled and danced behind the crystal surfaces. Ben could see intelligence there and strength and something else he could not name. Princess Kira stopped 10 feet away and inclined her head slightly. "Ambassador Morris, welcome to our world." "Thank you, Your Highness," Ben replied, bowing as he had been taught. "It is an honor to be here." The formal greetings continued for several minutes. Princess Kira asked about his journey and about Earth. Ben answered politely, but he found it hard to concentrate. There was something mesmerizing about the way her eyes shifted colors as she spoke. When the formalities ended, Princess Kira gestured to a group of chairs arranged in a circle. "Shall we begin our discussions?" For the next 2 hours, they talked about the treaty terms. Ben was impressed by Princess Kira's intelligence and knowledge. She understood the complexities of interstellar politics better than many Earth leaders. She asked thoughtful questions and offered creative solutions to potential problems. But Ben noticed something strange. Throughout the entire discussion, Princess Kira's eyes remained the same neutral silver blue as everyone else's. The beautiful colors he had seen when she first entered were gone. During a break in the negotiations, servants brought refreshments. Ben found himself standing near a large window that looked out over the city. Princess Kira approached and stood beside him. "Your world is beautiful," Ben said, gazing at the crystal spires. "Thank you," she replied, "though I sometimes wonder what other worlds look like. We have images and recordings, but they cannot capture the true experience." Ben turned to look at her. "Maybe someday you could visit Earth. I think you would enjoy it. We have mountains and oceans and forests full of green trees." Princess Kira smiled slightly. "That sounds wonderful." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Ben found himself studying her profile. There was something sad about her expression, though he could not say why. "Princess," he said softly. She turned to face him. For just an instant, her eyes flickered through a rainbow of colors before returning to silver blue. Ben felt his breath catch. The brief display had been stunning. Without thinking, the words slipped out. "Your eyes are gorgeous." The reaction was immediate and shocking. Princess Kira froze completely. Her entire body went rigid as if she had been turned to stone. Her eyes flashed brilliant red, then began cycling rapidly through colors Ben had never seen before. Violet, gold, deep green, blazing orange, and shades that had no names. The room fell silent. Every Zephyrian in the chamber turned to stare. Their own eyes flickered with what Ben somehow knew was shock and horror. Princess Kira began to tremble. Her eyes continued their wild color display, growing brighter and more intense with each passing second. The light from them cast strange shadows on the walls. Then, to Ben's complete amazement, Princess Kira dropped to her knees. Her hands covered her face, but the light still leaked between her fingers. The throne room erupted in chaos. Guards rushed forward, their eyes flashing angry red. Courtiers backed away in fear, whispering frantically to each other. Minister Vex ran to Ben's side, his face pale with shock. "What have you done?" he hissed. "What have you done?" Ben stared in confusion. "I just told her she had beautiful eyes." "What's wrong with that?" Minister Vex grabbed Ben's arm. "You cannot say such things. No one speaks of another's eyes. It is forbidden." "But why?" Ben asked, genuinely confused. Before Minister Vex could answer, other voices filled the room. "Arrest the human," someone shouted. "He has dishonored the princess." "This is an act of war." Ben looked around in growing panic. The friendly atmosphere from moments before had vanished. Now he saw only angry faces and hostile stares. Several guards were moving toward him with weapons drawn, but through it all, Princess Kira remained on her knees, trembling and glowing with impossible colors. An elderly Zephyrian in elaborate robes pushed through the crowd. His eyes were dark with fury. "Human," he said in a voice like ice, "you have committed an unthinkable crime. To speak of a royal's eyes is the greatest insult possible. You have seen into her soul without permission. This cannot be forgiven." Ben felt his heart sink. He had ruined everything. The peace treaty, the alliance, maybe even Earth's safety, all because he had honestly complimented someone's eyes. "I didn't know," he said desperately. "Please, I meant no harm. On my world, we tell people when we think they're beautiful. It's considered polite." "Your world's customs matter nothing here," the elderly Zephyrian replied. "You have violated our most sacred taboo." The crowd pressed closer. Ben could see hate in their eyes now. Some were calling for his execution. Others demanded that Earth be punished for sending such an ignorant representative. But then Princess Kira raised her hand. The room fell silent instantly. She slowly rose to her feet, her eyes still cycling through impossible colors. When she looked at Ben, he saw something in her gaze that he had never seen in any Zephyrian before. Emotion. Raw, powerful, uncontrolled emotion. "Leave us," she said quietly. "Your Highness," Minister Vex protested, "it is not safe to be alone with this human." Princess Kira's eyes flashed brighter. "I said leave us. All of you." The authority in her voice was absolute. Slowly, reluctantly, the crowd began to file out of the throne room. Guards hesitated, clearly unhappy about leaving their princess alone with someone they now saw as dangerous. "Go," Princess Kira commanded. When the last Zephyrian had left, she turned to face Ben. Her eyes were no longer cycling through random colors. Instead, they had settled on a deep, rich purple that Ben had never seen before. It was beautiful and somehow sad at the same time. "Do you understand what you have done?" she asked. Ben nodded miserably. "I've ruined everything. I'm sorry, Princess. I truly didn't know about your customs." I was just being honest. Honest, she repeated, as if the word was foreign to her. She walked to her throne and sat down heavily. For a long moment she simply stared at Ben with those incredible purple eyes. In our culture, she said finally, the eyes are the window to the soul. We believe that strong emotions make us weak and vulnerable, so we learn from childhood to control our feelings and keep our eyes neutral. To comment on someone's eyes is to say that you have seen their inner self. It is something that happens only between bonded mates or during the most sacred rituals. Ben felt a chill run down his spine. And I just did that to you in front of your entire court. Yes, Princess Kira said softly. For the first time in my life, someone has seen me. Really seen me. And my eyes betrayed every feeling I have spent years learning to hide. I'm so sorry, Ben whispered. Princess Kira was quiet for a long time. Her eyes gradually shifted from purple to a deep blue that seemed to hold starlight. Are you? She asked. Are you really sorry that you saw me? The question caught Ben off guard. He thought about it carefully before answering. I'm sorry that I caused you trouble, he said finally. I'm sorry that I didn't understand your culture. But I'm not sorry that I told you your eyes are beautiful. Because they are. They're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Princess Kira's eyes widened, flashing through several colors before settling back to that deep blue. You would say it again? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. If it wouldn't get us both in trouble, yes. For the first time since Ben had met her, Princess Kira smiled. It was a real smile, not the polite expression she had worn during the negotiations. And when she smiled, her eyes lit up like fireworks. Human, she said. I think we need to talk. Princess Kira stood from her throne and walked to the large window. Her eyes had returned to that deep blue color that seemed to hold stars within them. Ben remained where he was, still uncertain about what was happening. Tell me about your world, Princess Kira said without turning around. Tell me about humans and how they speak to each other. Ben took a careful step closer. We're very different from your people, I think. Humans say what they feel. If we think someone is beautiful, we tell them. If we're happy or sad or angry, we show it. And this is considered normal. More than normal, Ben replied. It's considered healthy. We believe that hiding our feelings makes us sick. We have doctors whose only job is to help people learn to express their emotions better. Princess Kira turned around, her eyes flickering to pale yellow before returning to blue. That sounds terrifying. Ben couldn't help but smile. Why terrifying? If everyone could see what you really felt, how could you protect yourself? How could you maintain dignity and respect? We find strength in being honest, Ben said. When someone tells you that you're beautiful, it makes you feel good. When someone tells you they care about you, it makes you feel less alone. We think hiding feelings is what makes people weak and afraid. Princess Kira moved closer to him. But surely there are times when you must hide what you feel. When honesty would cause problems. Ben thought about this carefully. Sometimes, yes. If honesty would hurt someone unnecessarily, we might stay quiet. But we try to find kind ways to be truthful, and we believe that most problems get worse when people hide from the truth. Show me, Princess Kira said suddenly. Show you what? Show me how humans express feelings. Right now, what do you feel when you look at me? Ben hesitated. After what had happened in the throne room, he was afraid to speak honestly. But Princess Kira was watching him with those incredible eyes, and he could see genuine curiosity there. I feel amazed, he said finally. You're the most elegant person I've ever met. When you speak, I can hear your intelligence and strength, and your eyes are like windows into another universe. They make me feel like I'm seeing something magical. Princess Kira's eyes immediately began shifting colors. Gold, silver, deep purple, and that beautiful blue all swirled together. She looked down at her hands, and Ben could see that she was trembling slightly. This is what we are taught never to do, she whispered. From the time we are children, we learn to keep our eyes neutral. Strong emotions are considered a weakness. A leader who shows feelings is thought to be unfit to rule. But that's wrong, Ben said gently. I can see your emotions in your eyes, and they don't make you look weak. They make you look alive. They make you look real. Princess Kira looked up at him. For my entire life, I have felt like I was wearing a mask. Every day I wake up and put on the face that everyone expects to see. I speak the words that are appropriate. I make decisions based on logic and tradition. But inside I feel things I'm never allowed to express. What kind of things? Ben asked. Princess Kira walked to a different window that showed the garden below. I feel wonder when I look at the sunset. I feel joy when children play in the courtyards. I feel sadness when I think about how isolated my people have become. We have such advanced technology and such beautiful cities, but we've forgotten how to truly connect with each other. Her eyes were cycling through colors again, but more slowly now. Ben could see patterns in the changes. When she spoke of wonder, they turned gold. When she mentioned joy, they brightened to a warm yellow. When she talked about sadness, they shifted to deep blue. Your eyes tell the story of your feelings, Ben observed. It's like having emotions painted in light. Yes, Princess Kira said. And for generations we have been taught that this is shameful. We spend years learning to suppress these changes. The royal family especially must never show such displays. Why? Ben asked. What's so dangerous about letting people see what you feel? Princess Kira was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was sad. Long ago, our people were conquered by a race called the Dominators. They studied our emotions and used them against us. They learned that when our eyes showed fear, we were vulnerable. When they showed anger, we would make poor decisions. So they used this knowledge to control us for over 1,000 years. Ben felt a chill of understanding. So your people learned to hide their emotions to protect themselves. Exactly. When we finally overthrew the Dominators, our ancestors decided that emotional control was the key to strength. They built our entire culture around the idea that feelings make you weak and vulnerable. But now I wonder if we went too far. What do you mean? Princess Kira turned to face him directly. I have been watching your human broadcasts for months. Your movies, your music, your stories. I see people who laugh and cry and love without shame. I see strength in their honesty, not weakness. And I began to wonder what we might have lost when we chose to hide who we really are. Ben moved closer to her. You said you've been watching our broadcasts? Is that why you wanted to make contact with Earth? Princess Kira's eyes flashed with embarrassment. Yes. The official reason for these negotiations is strategic alliance. But the truth is, I wanted to meet humans and see if you were really as emotionally open as you appeared in your entertainment. And what do you think now? I think, Princess Kira said slowly, that you have something we lost long ago. When you told me my eyes were gorgeous, you weren't trying to control me or hurt me. You were simply sharing an honest feeling. And in that moment, I felt more alive than I have in years. Ben smiled. So what happened in the throne room wasn't really about breaking a cultural taboo. It was about you feeling something you'd never been allowed to feel before. I felt seen, Princess Kira whispered. For the first time in my life, someone looked at me and appreciated what they saw. Not my title or my position or my usefulness to their plans. Just me. Her eyes were glowing now with that deep purple color again. Ben realized it was the color of deep emotion, of feeling something profound and real. Your people out there, Ben said. They're afraid because they saw you showing true feelings. But I bet some of them were also amazed. I bet some of them wished they could feel that free. Princess Kira nodded slowly. I saw it in their eyes before they all turned away. For just a moment, some of them looked envious. So what are you going to do about it? Princess Kira walked back to her throne, but she didn't sit down. Instead, she stood behind it, her hands resting on the crystal surface. I've been thinking about that since you spoke those words, and I've made a decision. What kind of decision? I want to learn from your people, not just about technology or politics, but about emotions, about what it means to be honest with yourself and others. I want to understand how humans can be strong while still being open. Ben felt excitement building in his chest. That could change everything between our worlds. Yes, Princess Kira agreed. But it could also be very dangerous. There will be many among my people who see this as weakness. They will say I am betraying everything our ancestors built. Change is always scary, Ben said, but sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes it's worth the risk. Princess Kira looked at him with those amazing eyes. Will you help me? Will you teach me how to be human? Ben laughed. I think you're already more human than you realize. You felt wonder and joy and sadness. You wanted connection and honesty. Those are the most human things of all. But I need to learn how to show these feelings without shame, how to lead my people while still being authentic, how to be strong and open at the same time. I can help with that, Ben said. But you'll also need to convince your people that this change is good for them. Princess Kira's eyes flashed with determination. I have an idea about that. She walked to a communication panel on the wall and pressed several buttons. Immediately, Minister Vex's voice filled the room. Your Highness, are you safe? Should we arrest the human? Minister Vex, please gather the full court in the throne room. I have an announcement to make. But Your Highness, surely you should rest after such an ordeal. Now, Minister Vex, the communication ended, and Princess Kira turned back to Ben. What I'm about to do has never been done before. I'm going to stand before my court and show them my emotions on purpose. Ben felt worried. Are you sure that's wise? They seemed pretty upset before. That's exactly why I need to do it, Princess Kira said. They need to see that showing emotion doesn't make me weak or unfit to rule. They need to understand that there's another way to be strong. Within minutes, the throne room was filled again. The court members looked nervous and uncertain. Many whispered among themselves, their eyes flickering with anxiety. Princess Kira walked to the center of the room. Ben stayed near the window, unsure of his role in what was about to happen. My people, Princess Kira began. Today, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in my life, someone saw past my royal mask and appreciated who I really am underneath. The crowd murmured with confusion and concern. I know you believe this was an insult and a violation, but I want you to see something. Princess Kira took a deep breath and deliberately let her eyes shift colors. They moved through gold, blue, purple, and silver, creating a light show more beautiful than anything Ben had ever seen. The court gasped and stepped back. These are my true feelings, Princess Kira continued, her eyes still changing colors. This gold is my joy at being alive. This blue is my love for our world and our people. This purple is my hope for our future. And this silver is my determination to be the best leader I can be. She paused, letting her eyes settle into that deep purple again. For generations, we have been taught that these feelings make us weak, but I have learned something today from our human visitor. Emotions don't make us weak. Hiding from the truth makes us weak. An elderly courtier stepped forward. Your Highness, surely you cannot mean to abandon the ways of our ancestors. I'm not abandoning them, Princess Kira replied. I'm building on them. Our ancestors taught us to be strong and independent, but they also taught us to be isolated and fearful. I want to keep the strength while letting go of the fear. Minister Vex looked confused. But how can we trust emotions? How can we make good decisions if we let feelings guide us? Princess Kira smiled and her eyes brightened with joy. We don't let emotions replace logic, Minister Vex. We let them work together. When I feel joy at seeing children play, that tells me to protect their future. When I feel sadness at our isolation, that tells me to reach out to other worlds. When I feel wonder at Ambassador Morris's honesty, that tells me to learn from his people. She turned to address the entire court. I propose that we do more than just sign a peace treaty with Earth. I propose that we begin a cultural exchange. We will send some of our people to learn how humans express emotions in healthy ways, and we will invite humans to come here and learn from our wisdom and technology. The room erupted in discussion. Some voices were angry, others curious. Ben could see eyes flickering with many different colors as people forgot to maintain their neutral expressions. But Princess Kira raised her hand for silence. I am not commanding this change. I am asking for it. I am asking you to trust me when I tell you that strength and openness can exist together. I am asking you to believe that showing our true selves might make us more powerful, not less. And young Zephyrian near the front of the crowd raised her hand. Your Highness, if we show emotions, won't other races try to use them against us like the Dominators did? Princess Kira's eyes flashed with understanding. That's an excellent question. But consider this. The Dominators conquered us not because we had emotions, but because we were alone and isolated. If we build alliances with other honest races like the humans, we become stronger together. And if we understand our own feelings, we can recognize when someone tries to manipulate them. Ben stepped forward. If I may speak, Your Highness? Princess Kira nodded. On Earth, we've learned that people who try to hide their emotions are actually easier to manipulate than people who understand their feelings, Ben said. When you know what you feel and why you feel it, you can make better decisions about who to trust and how to respond. The young Zephyrian who had asked the question nodded slowly. Her eyes flickered to a thoughtful green color. Minister Vex looked between Ben and Princess Kira. This is all very interesting in theory, but how would such a cultural exchange actually work? Princess Kira's eyes brightened with excitement. We start small. A few volunteers from each world. They live among the other species for several months, learning their ways. Then they return and teach what they've learned. "And you believe this will make us stronger?" asked the elderly courtier. "I believe this will make us whole," Princess Kira replied. "We have amazing technology and beautiful cities, but we've forgotten how to truly connect with each other or with other races. The humans can teach us about emotional honesty and open communication, and we can teach them about patience, wisdom, and long-term thinking." Ben felt a surge of hope. This was more than he had ever dreamed possible when he arrived on this world. The court continued to discuss the proposal for another hour. Gradually, Ben noticed that more and more Zephyrians were allowing their eyes to show colors. It was as if Princess Kira's display had given them permission to be authentic for the first time in their lives. Finally, Minister Vex called for a formal vote. All in favor of Princess Kira's cultural exchange proposal? To Ben's amazement, nearly 3/4 of the court raised their hands. Their eyes were showing colors of hope, curiosity, and excitement. "The proposal is approved," Minister Vex announced, his own eyes flickering with what looked like pride. Princess Kira turned to Ben with eyes that shone like stars. "Ambassador Morris, it seems we have much more to discuss than just a simple peace treaty." Ben smiled widely. "I think Earth is going to be very excited about this partnership, Your Highness." As the court began to disperse, many Zephyrians approached Ben to ask questions about human culture and emotions. For the first time since his arrival, their eyes were showing genuine colors of curiosity and interest rather than neutral silver blue. Princess Kira waited until most of the crowd had left before speaking to Ben. "Again, thank you," she said simply. "For what?"
For seeing me.
"For being honest. For showing my people that there's another way to be strong." Ben looked at her amazing eyes, now glowing with deep contentment. "Thank you for being brave enough to listen." Princess Kira smiled, and in that moment, Ben knew that this simple compliment about beautiful eyes had changed the course of 2 entire civilizations. The future was going to be very interesting indeed.